Hi, everyone, and welcome back for another episode of Malice in the Mitten. I am your host, Tracy Preston, along with my bestie, Christine Mulligan. Hey, Christine.
Hey, Trace. What's going on? What are we getting into today? No kid stuff, right?
Nope. No kids.
Okay,
good. Good. Well, today's story is a story of brutal, and I mean brutal malice. And I will never understand what goes through a person's mind when they plan a murder. And I've said this in the past, self-defense murder, yeah, I do it without hesitation for self-preservation or in defense of saving one of my family members or friends, depending on the situation, right? But you, I can murder at that point.
Self-defense, yes, that's not murder. That's self-defense, period.
Yeah.
So what are you talking about? That's not murder.
It kind of is murder if I have to murder someone. But, to actually plan out a murder of someone that you're supposed to love, that I will never be able to wrap my head around.
Doesn't make sense to me.
No, I can't get it. So in today's story, I'm going to tell you about an adulterous wife and mother of two small children who plans her husband's murder with her lover. Yeah, that's always a solid plan. Just file for divorce. Deal with it. This idea of murdering a spouse over divorcing or just leaving the spouse to live out your own life will never, ever, ever make sense to me.
It's just straight up greed. And I don't understand. Even if you get away with it for the law, karma's going to get you every time. It's never going to work out for you.
It never works out.
Never going to work out.
Never, ever. So let's get into it. This is Season 8, Episode 13, Ammar Al-Yasari. Holt, Michigan was first settled in 1837, originally called Delhi Center, but in 1860, the community changed its name to Holt, as Delhi was another named Michigan locality. The name Holt was in honor of its Postmaster General, Joseph Holt. So I'm going to give you a little more history on this area, and then we're going to dive in. Now, here's something interesting that I didn't know. Holt is home to the longest esker in Michigan. And I'm like, wait, what is that? So I looked it up. It's approximately 20 miles of a glacial sediment ridge that runs from South Lansing through Holt to Mason. The esker is a long ridge made of sand and gravel, which is left behind by a melting glacier's subglacial river from thousands of years ago. Now, here's something for Todd. There is a park in Holt named Valhalla. It is a nature preserve that includes segments of the ridge with walking and biking trails running alongside and over the ridge. And along this ridge, you're also going to find very unusual plant life and a direct link to the area's Ice Age history. So, there you go. There's a little history on Holt.
Of course there's a Valhalla in Michigan.
Makes sense. Valhalla, because we all have big knuckles.
Yep, totes.
So also Holt is a great place to raise your kids, great school systems, parks, and overall it's a very family-friendly place. So what better place to live out your American dream, buying a beautiful home and raising your family? Well, for Ammar Al-Yasari, he was living the American dream and life was really, really good until it wasn't. Ammar Al-Yasari was born and raised with his sisters in Karbala, Iraq. His sister Zahra Al-Yasari described her brother as a happy and smart boy. He was always there to help her with her studies, and he would spend many hours in the library as he had a thirst for knowledge. Ammar's dream was to come to the United States. He wanted a better future for himself. All his hard work finally paid off in 2008 when he won a spot to come to the United States to study agricultural economics at Michigan State University in East Lansing. He had received a scholarship from the Iraqi government, but to receive the scholarship, the agreement was that after he received his diploma, that he had to return to Iraq for no less than 2 years in order to share what he had learned. While attending MSU, he brought with him that same drive for knowledge and success. If, for any reason, Ammar did not follow the contract with the Iraqi government, he would be responsible for repaying every single dime he was given. Now, that included college tuition, stipends, books, any money that he received on the scholarship, he would have to pay it back. While attending classes at MSU, Ammar met a man in the Iraqi community named Aman al-Mohammed. He would help to acclimate new students from Iraq with their adjustment here in the United States. Now, Aman had many children, and one of them was a daughter named Bador. Ammar would describe Bador to his sister as a kind and pure woman, and in just 1 month, Ammar told his family, all of whom were in Iraq, that he was engaged to be married. Now, Bador's family was also from Iraq, but they had moved to the United States when she was just 2 years old, so she was pretty westernized for an Iraqi woman. The place was Ann Arbor, Michigan, on June 13th, 2009. Ammar was 26 years old when he walked over the threshold hand in hand with his 18-year-old fiancée to their engagement party at her parents' home. As they entered, Ammar leading Bador in, her head covered in a long white lace veil, and under that she wore a chador, which is a cloak covering her body and scarf underneath, which does not cover her face. This is held in place by women, they just kind of hold it on so that it can easily be removed, easily taken off. Now, upon entering the home, family in their native tongue kept saying, quote, "Thousands of declarations of peace be upon you, Prophet Muhammad." Ammar, with a proud smile on his face, gently removed Bador's white veil, then her chador, as it's tradition when presenting the future bride to the family. Now, underneath, she was beautiful. Her hair in a swept updo with white flowers in her hair. Her makeup was absolutely perfect. Jewelry lavishly around her neck and dangling from her ears, and she wore a stunning pale yellow gown. They danced and smiled and posed for pictures with the family, but for Ammar's family, this was heartbreaking for them as they could not be here for this momentous and celebratory moment with their son and brother. They had absolutely no part in any of the planning for this engagement or even for the wedding for the couple. For Ammar to engage and marry Bador, he was putting everything at risk. And when his family brought this up, his response was for them to, talk to her, get to know her. And he was certain they would fall in love with her the way he had, and that she was worth risking it all. So they fired up Skype, and this is when Ammar's family was introduced to her. His sister, Zahra, still felt like he was not making a good decision. Bador was just 18 years old and not even in school, like in college, and completely the opposite of her brother. But I guess that's kind of what it's about, right? Opposites attract. But nothing was going to stop the plans for their marriage. In fact, just 1 month, yeah, you heard that right, just 1 month after their engagement, the two were married. Again, Ammar's family were not in America, and they could not be a part of this wedding. It's now July 2010. Ammar and Bador flew to Iraq for Ammar's sister's wedding. While there for his sister's celebration, Ammar's family threw a special party in honor of Bador, but that just wasn't enough for her. She would complain to Ammar that basically, look what they're doing for your sister Zahra, but they didn't do that for me. Well, hello, she is getting married and you guys had a rush engagement and wedding. What do you expect?
So this one is just complaining.
Yeah, like she's feeling left out, like she's not being made to feel special, I guess.
Well, it's not her time yet, right?
Well, they had already gotten married. This is like a month after they got married, that his sister's getting married in Iraq. So they threw a party, make her feel special, but then, she was feeling kind of left out because now all the attention is on her sister-in-law, basically. Why is she getting all these things? They didn't do these things for me. Well,
yeah, well, they arrange their marriages there most of the time, right? So the arranged marriages, don't they get preferential treatment? But I don't know enough about that culture to even comment on that properly, because I think there's different rules for different things.
Yeah, I mean, I went to school with some nurses from India. I know that the entire family lived together, right? The mom, the dad, any of their children. This particular nurse I worked with, she was in her mid-20s. She lived at home. She was a professional nurse. Her brother, I don't know what he did, but he was making good money, and all the money goes into one pot. It's family house, family money, and it is kind of like they do kind of do arranged marriages still. Once they get married, then they leave the home, but there's the whole dowry and all that. That is for the Indian culture. I don't really know much about what goes on in Iraq, but I'm assuming it's kind of along the same line.
Yeah, I assume. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know enough. Like, I don't feel comfortable commenting on that too much. Like, if that was right, wrong, or indifferent, because there's different rules for different celebrations, and there's different outlines for acceptance.
Right.
So if you don't have the acceptance, you're not going to get the big celebration, and vice versa. Right?
I guess.
I don't know. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm going to put a lot of stock into that part of this story, if that makes sense.
Makes sense.
I don't know if that really applies. I think that might be skewing the story, because I don't know what happened yet. All right, so I'll just shut up.
Shut up. Shush.
Shut up. Noted, and move on.
You shush.
Okay.
All right. All right, so Ammar's family was kind of, picking up like these really like not good vibes from Bador. And they even tried to talk to Ammar about what they were seeing, what was going on, about their feelings about Bador. But it really was of no consequence. It was like, nope, don't even do it, because Bador is now pregnant with their first child. So it's like the deal is sealed. I don't even think a divorce would be acceptable, but,
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. On New Year's Eve 2010, Bador gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. Ammar was described as a supporting and loving father, and that sweet little girl had him wrapped around her little tiny finger. And soon, Ammar would graduate with his master's degree in agricultural economics, and almost concurrently, Bador was graduating from Baker's College, and I don't know what her degree was in. Ammar was always encouraging her to be successful, and he couldn't have been prouder of her on her graduation day. In December of 2012, after graduation, the family had taken a trip to Washington, D.C. This was a pinnacle for Ammar, and he was filming, with a camcorder and taking all kinds of pictures of the family near the monuments. Like, this was a big deal, right? He has achieved part of his American dream. And now they're visiting all the monuments, so it was pretty cool. In 2015, Ammar was working as a mortgage loan broker, and the couple had their second daughter. In 2016, Ammar purchased his first home in Holt. It was a lovely 4-bedroom home with a nice backyard and a pool. Now, talk about achieving the American dream. He was absolutely doing it. Bador was also working and formed a close-knit group of friends at work. They would frequently all go to lunch together, all these girls in the office, and talk about their lives and their children. And Bador would also brag to her co-workers that anything she asked Ammar for, he would get for her. If she wanted a ring, all she had to do was ask for it, and he would provide it to her. Like legit anything, jewelry, clothes, anything she asked for. Then one day, she pulled into work with a brand new cherry red Dodge Ram 4x4 pickup. Again, telling her friends she wanted it, and Ammar got it for her. So it sounds like the way to this girl's happiness is to get her what she wants. That's what I'm thinking.
Sounds like it. Sounds like that's the kind of love he was giving her too. So,
Well, he worked hard for it. This is his wife, I can see that. Honor whatever my wife wants, she gets, because, she's the queen.
Yeah, I mean, he's got his nice house with a pool and his fancy car, so why can't she have hers?
That's right.
All right, so go on.
All right. About a year later, Ammar's sister, Zahra, came to America and moved into the home with Ammar and Bador. And this was something that really bothered Bador. So if you remember when Zahra got married in Iraq, Bador was jealous of her then. So you can only imagine how she felt now, having her living in her home, coupled with the closeness of her husband and his sister. Like, she wasn't digging that at all. When the two women were in the home alone, Bador was pretty mean to Zahra. But as soon as Ammar walked in, she would change back into a sweet and loving wife. Now, his sister only stayed long enough until she was able to purchase her own home. I don't know how long that was, if it was a handful of months or a year, I'm not certain. Shortly after his sister moved out, Ammar visited her, and he had great news to share. Bador was pregnant with their third child, and he was absolutely thrilled. But things with this pregnancy did not go well, and 2 weeks later, Bador lost the baby. Soon, things were not as happy as they had been. Ammar would visit his sister more and more often, and he would even stop by after work on the reg. Zahra could tell something was not right. No longer did he seem happy. He looked worried all the time and sad. Zahra could see that Ammar was losing weight, but when she asked him what was wrong, he would never say anything to her. He'd just, keep it all inside. Ammar had looked at Bador's phone and found that she was speaking ill of him to others, calling him lazy, no good, insensitive, and a jerk. But these were all lies. And to Ammar, this was breaking his heart. But he remained silent. Oh God, I couldn't do that. I'd explode. That's not me. I'd have to say something. Wouldn't you?
Of course. I don't understand how a married couple can be a married couple without complete, transparent communication.
I know. How awful.
I just don't understand it.
Yeah, that's horrible.
That should be your person. And even if it's not your person and you married the wrong person, you need to focus on 110% honesty with that person that shouldn't be your person and get that divorce. Period.
Get it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother issue for me. So
Agreed. Agreed. Now, Bador's co-workers were also noticing a change in her. Now, remember I told you that she was always going out to lunch with her work friends? Well, that pretty much stopped. She was usually asking the ladies to go out to lunch with her, but those invitations stopped. And every time she was invited to go out, she would decline. She had other plans. Now, it didn't take long until the chatter kicked up about Bador being seen out with another man during lunch. And then, one day, she was spotted kissing the man she was with. January 2019, Ammar called his sister. He sounded very worried and began talking about his girls. He was expressing his concerns, saying, quote, "If something happens to me, who will take care of my girls?" Then came February 4th, 2019. A call came into 911 at 8:05 p.m.
911, what's the address of your emergency?
Glenberry Drive, Holt, Michigan.
Tell me exactly what happened.
I came home after I picked up my kids from school. We did a few errands, and I came home and my husband's on the ground.
Okay. Is he awake?
I don't know. I'm outside. I'm scared if someone's inside.
You think someone broke into the house and harmed your husband?
I think so. I tried talking to him from very far away, but he didn't move. And then the first thing I thought is, my girls, what if someone is still in there?
We really need to know if he's breathing. Although, if you're afraid to go back in there, I don't want you to go back inside.
I'm scared. I'm scared. Assigned to the case is Detective William Lowe and Detective Chauncey Shattuck of Ingham County Sheriff's Office. When they arrived, they entered the home cautiously. Could someone still be in the home besides the victim? After the home was cleared, they returned to the kitchen. All they saw was Ammar lying on the floor in a very large pool of blood, face up, in his socks, shoes right next to his body, as if he had just taken them off, a coffee cup upside down on the floor. There was blood all over the floor and splattered on the walls. And oddly enough, they were hit with an overwhelming smell of bleach. When looking at Ammar's head, face, and neck, they noticed what they call chop wounds. There were approximately 24 of them. And just like it sounds, chop, such as being hit with an axe. To detectives, it looked like Ammar had just walked in, taken off his shoes, and then was immediately attacked by someone lying in wait. Now, during Bador's 911 call, she said that she had walked into the front door and saw her husband lying on the floor. When detectives examined the front door, there were no pry marks, no signs of a forced break-in. The home was neatly kept, everything in its place, including all of their TVs, computers, tablets, and even Ammar's wallet was still in his back pocket untouched. Now, based on what they saw in the home, they quickly ruled out robbery. They saw blood and bleach mixed together in other areas on the floor. Bleach was poured over Ammar's body, and the gallon jug of bleach was also seen lying on the floor not far from Ammar. Zara, Ammar's sister, arrived at the home on Glenberry, but they stopped her, and when she asked about her brother, she was told that her brother was no longer with them. While the scene was being investigated, other law enforcement began to canvass the neighborhood. Detective Derek Ward said that they got lucky when they spoke to the neighbors who lived directly across the street from the Al-Yasaris to see if they had seen anything. Now, during questioning, they said they had just returned home from shopping, and they said they did see a person dressed all in black, and from the way they walked, the size and stature, they could tell it was a man. As they pulled into their driveway, they saw the person walk into the home of Ammar and Bador. How fortunate were they to have these witnesses right off the bat? I think that's pretty unusual.
Well, pretty lucky, but then again, I mean, they're a tight-knit group, no?
Well, this is just in the neighborhood. I can't say that their neighborhood neighbors are Iraqi.
Well, they don't have to be Iraqi to be neighborly. Isn't that like that's a nicer area and all of that?
Yeah.
So wouldn't they be looking out for each other?
Right. I mean, the houses weren't that far apart from each other. I mean, I know, I don't talk to all my neighbors, especially the wackos across the street. But you know when they're coming and going. You know when people are pulling up and all that kind of stuff. I mean, you can't help it.
Yeah.
It's right out your window.
Exactly.
Yeah. So now it was time for them to interview Bador. It was 10:22 p.m., just a couple hours after the 911 call came in, that detectives sat down with her. Now let the questioning begin. I'd like to say that Bador looked pretty calm. No tears while she was being questioned. And now what I'm going to read to you next comes from the actual police interview. So all this is taken from that. So this is all a quote.
Has your husband talked to you about anybody who might want to harm him or might be upset with him in any way?
No. I mean, he's very private. He doesn't socialize. So he doesn't have a big group of friends like I do. But no, he has never mentioned someone being angry at him. He doesn't go anywhere. He gets up, goes to work, and is very family oriented.
Has there ever been any issues with you guys in your relationship?
He doesn't want me to go out with my friends. He would be like, where are you? Where are you going? What happened? Who did you talk to?
Do you think it might be because of an insecurity?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm going to ask you specifically, was there somebody else that you were seeing outside of your husband?
I guess, like a boyfriend. Intimately. Now, this is when Bador took a deep breath and a long pause before she spoke again. Then she said, I mean, I had a part where I was seeing like friends with benefits, but that was a long time ago. During that period, I met a lot of guys, like on and off.
Just hooking up?
Yeah.
Did they know that you were married?
Yes. Recently, yes.
How recently?
A few months ago. Now, as she said this, it annoyed me so bad. She was smiling, like, you know, that girlish smile you get when you think about your lover. She was smiling and even giggling. Then she dropped her head down. And it was so annoying. It was just like, your husband has just been brutally murdered, and you're sitting here smiling with love on your face and a giggle? I don't like it.
When's the last time you met up with this person?
I haven't seen him in like a few weeks, I think.
Can I ask what his or her name is?
Another long pause. And then she finally took a deep breath and said, I don't want to say the person's name. Maybe they had nothing to do with it. I don't want to get them in trouble.
Bador, are you really trying to help me or not?
Now, as the detective was asking her this question, she put her elbow on the table, her hand on her face, and just started smiling and giggling again. She couldn't stop smiling and laughing, then covered her face as if to gain composure, then said, I am trying to help, but
Then help me.
he didn't do anything.
What if he did? You tell me.
I need to talk to a lawyer. And that, my friends, is the end of the interview, right? Game over. Once that lawyer is brought up, time to stop. Wednesday, February 6th, just 2 days after the brutal murder of Ammar, a call came in to Detective Chauncey Shattuck. It was from a young man who wanted to tell the detective the name of a man that they should be looking into. Now, the caller didn't know this guy's full name, but what they did know was his first name, and that was Jake. And Jake was having an affair with Bador. He went on to say that Bador would have her life during the week at home with Ammar and her 2 daughters, but on the weekend, she would be with Jake, running around and partying. He went on to say that Jake and Bador had been dating for a while. So now it was time for detectives to figure out who this Jake was and where they could find him. And because Bador would not give up the name of her lover, detectives had probable cause and confiscated her phone. After forensics downloaded everything off her phone, they discovered that she had a Facebook account, but she had more than one. One of them, of course, was for family and friends, but that second one, she used for, let's say, extracurricular contacts. It didn't take long for them to find a man by the name of Jacob Fisher. They had even found that there was a missed call through Facebook just 2 weeks prior. From here, they were able to find where Jake lived in Lansing, and they set up surveillance at his apartment. Detectives did see someone walking around the apartment through the windows, but it wasn't Jake, and soon they saw this person leave the apartment and start to walk up the street to a local bar. This man was Levi, and he was Jake's roommate. Levi enters the bar and sits next to a man. Detective Ward also grabbed a seat nearby and focused his attention on what the men were talking about. The man Levi was sitting next to, well, that was Jacob. The two men seemed to be deep in conversation, and soon Jacob was heard saying that he just killed somebody and needed money to get out of town. Now, he was quite intoxicated and was becoming belligerent, and soon the cops were called and Jacob was arrested for disorderly conduct. Boom! Gotcha. That was fast, right?
What was he doing?
He was like yelling. He was basically started yelling in the bar that he had just killed someone and he needed money. Like he was just going nutso. And
Really?
Yeah, I know. Like, dude, put the JD down.
Alrighty then. So he got himself busted.
Yeah. Now on something completely different, but they're about to get this guy. All right. Now, before Jake knew what was going on, he was now sitting in the interview room with detectives. Now, here's how that went. Quote,
You were saying some things out there that were kind of alarming to some of the patrons in the bar. That's what I want to talk to you about.
I was just drunk.
Okay. You feeling drunk now?
I'm drunk.
Are you? Do you feel you're coherent enough to speak to me about it? Or do you want to wait until...
And then he was cut off by Jake.
I think I don't want to speak to anybody until my public defender is here.
And those, again, are the magic words. Boom, done, interview over. But here's what Jake didn't know. While he was in one interrogation room, his roomie Levi was in another. And this is where they received a lot more information related to the relationship between Bador and Jacob. So here's how that went. Quote,
How long have you known Bador? How long have you known them to be in a relationship?
I'd say since sometime before August.
What has he told you about Bador?
To my understanding, they've been dating since summer, that they were really in love. I thought she was going to leave her husband and that they were going to live together. That was my understanding of it. Now, from Bador's phone, detectives figured out that she had been dating Jake hot and heavy since August of 2018. Then there was a breakup for a minute in October. Then Bador reached back out to Jake in November, and things picked right back up where they left off. Through Snapchat, detectives found multiple pictures of Bador and Jake, lying in bed, smiling for the camera. Even a video of Bador in bed, and it appeared she didn't have any clothes on, as you could see her, naked shoulder and the neck area, and she was all giggly and lovey look on her face, and she'd, cover up with the white sheet hiding from her lover. Also, detectives found text messages that Bador had even taken one of her daughters to meet Jacob. Even more texts between the two of them talking about running away together and starting a new life in California. They even talked about taking Bador's 2 children with them. Apparently, Jake had family in California and they were planning to move in with them. Now, just a few weeks before Ammar was brutally murdered, Bador's texts to Jacob were filled with lies about Ammar being abusive to her, that he threatens her, he's controlling, verbally and emotionally abuses her. Another text read, I swear he does need to go and rot in hell. A text from Jacob read,
Oh, I'm gonna pound him into the fucking ground.
At this point, detectives executed a search warrant for Jacob and Levi's apartment. And boy, oh boy, did they strike it rich. In Jacob's bedroom, they found an empty package labeled 20-ounce camp axe with sheath. Now, if you remember at the scene, they described Ammar's wounds as chop wounds. So this is falling right into place. Not only did they find the packaging for the camp axe, but they also found the receipt from Kroger on North Cedar Street, dated January 31st, and the time of the purchase was 3:32 p.m., along with the name of the cashier. Now, if you're wondering what else he bought, well, I'll tell you. Bleach, skewers, a Coke Classic, and a bottle of Jack Daniels for a grand total of $49.25. So now that detectives knew exactly which Kroger these items were purchased from, off they went to Kroger to review the security tapes. So lucky for them that they knew the time of the purchase. They didn't have to waste hours and hours of viewing tapes. They went exactly to the time they needed, focused on the exact register he made the purchase, then saw him walking out with a couple of bags in one hand and a bottle of bleach in the other, wearing his black Superman hoodie. Then the detectives turned their focus to the CCTV footage of the parking lot so that they could see what vehicle Jake was driving. Well, guess what? They found him in the parking lot prior to entering the store, and they spotted him getting out of the passenger door of a red pickup. So they backed up the footage even more to where they could see the red pickup pulling into the parking lot. Well, you want to guess who owns a red Dodge Ram pickup?
Of course she did.
Yeah.
These people are not too bright, though. Just saying.
Now this is real sloppy.
Yeah, bad planning, for sure.
Yeah. It's like just in a rush to get it done. So not only did she put this into her boyfriend's head to kill her husband so they could all run away together and live this great happy life, she also drove him to the store to buy the murder weapon. What in the actual? All right, let's get back to Jacob in jail. So they had arrested him for disorderly conduct, and while he's in jail, his personal property was confiscated. And one of those items taken was Jake's wallet. In it was his Kroger Plus shopper's card, his military army ID card, so this dude's a vet, a bank account card, and a bus pass card. So now detectives obtained his bus records and found that Jacob used his bus pass on February 4th at 5:53 p.m. Now where he got off the bus was in the area of the home of Ammar and Bador. Now, with the time that the witnesses said they saw the man in black going into the Al-Yasari home, while all this was lining up with the time Jacob disembarked from the catabus. With all the evidence the detectives gathered so quickly, they were able to arrest and charge Jacob Fisher with the murder of Ammar Al-Yasari. Boom! I'll bet this was the quickest murder case they had ever solved. Again.
Pretty easy. This was like the example sample.
Mm-hmm. This is how it works in school, kids.
Yeah, right?
2 days. Amazing. Now that Jacob was formally charged with the murder, it was time to seal the deal on Bador. Among the things seen in Bador's phone, they found she had screenshotted a text message between herself and Jacob. In the screenshot saved, Jake was asking her, quote,
"Tell me how much he's hurt you."
Her response,
For 10 years, he has made me feel worthless, a slave, a prisoner. He calls me names, makes fun of me, calls me crazy, and he has been forcing himself on me, hurting me both emotionally and physically.
Now, none of this has ever been substantiated. There was no evidence of any of her claims. Next, detectives started going through both Ammar and Bador's trucks. She, as we know, has the red Dodge Ram 4x4, Ammar a blue Ford F-150. One thing that both of these vehicles had were dash cams. So, detectives started digging into what video and or possible audio was captured. On February 4th at 5:32 p.m., a microphone on the dash cam recorded Bador and her girls in the vehicle. Now you can hear one of the girls talking about putting their jackets on because it was raining outside. Bador, you can hear her in agreement saying that she's also going to put her jacket on. Then there's video and audio of them sitting at a red light at Holt Road, and Bador is heard saying, quote,
Let mommy disarm the house.
Now, it's important to note that Ammar wouldn't even be out of work for approximately an hour from this time. So why is she disarming the alarm? According to bus records, Jake swiped his bus pass at 5:33, just 1 minute after Bador disarmed the alarm system. Also, at 5:33, there is CCTV footage at the local library showing Bador pulling into the parking lot. At 5:37, the front camera in the lobby of the library captures Bador entering with her children, and she looks like it's just, any regular day out running errands with her girls. She is seen again on CCTV leaving the parking lot of the library at 6:52 p.m. Next up, 4558 Glenberry Drive. Her Snapchat records show her calling Jacob right before calling 911. Now, just 10 days after Ammar was brutally murdered, on February 14th, Bador was arrested for the murder of her husband. Jacob Fisher and Bador Al-Yasari stood trial separately for the murder of Ammar Al-Yasari. As you can imagine, they both pleaded not guilty. During Jacob's trial, he tried to say that he did this all on his own and that Bador had nothing to do with it. Jacob also said, quote,
I didn't plan on hurting him, but all I could do was hear my heartbeat, and I just kept swinging.
Yeah, 24 times you swung, dude. During Bador's trial, her attorneys tried to get the cell phone records dismissed, but the judge overruled this as Bador refused to give the name of her boyfriend, and the detectives had probable cause. Both Jacob and Bador worked together to pull off this heinous crime. Both juries found Jacob Fisher and Bador Al-Yasari guilty of first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder. They both are sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Bador is incarcerated in the Women's Huron Valley Correctional Facility, and Jacob is incarcerated at the Bellamy Creek Correctional Facility in Ionia. He is also sentenced to pay $20,000 in restitution to Ammar's family. These people are idiots. That's all I've got to say.
Agreed. They're not the sharpest tools in the shed, for sure. They did not watch any murder shows before doing this. Not a one.
No.
They had no previous knowledge that everything they did was literally bustable. I don't even know how to explain any of this because everything they did was like a duh. Have you ever watched any crime show ever?
Yeah, there's plenty of them out there. Get on Discovery ID.
Cell phone thing. They literally had a chronological timeline with their cell phones. And then the whole, I'm not going to say he's getting in trouble. Like, she should have never mentioned him in the first place. There's so many things that if I'm, thinking about it from a crime show perspective, there's so many areas that they did wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
In the guise of trying not to get caught. It was like they did get caught immediately 101. Like, that's the class they taught.
Yeah, they didn't follow the manual for murder.
No. Good on them, though, because the simple fact that they did this, they deserve everything they got.
Swift justice. And here's the thing I will never understand. Now, we already know I don't understand why you can plot to murder someone, but what kind of a man, just because he's getting some, will listen to his girlfriend who's married saying, oh, my husband beats me up, my husband does this, he needs to die. Like, isn't that flag number one, big red fat flag, like run? And why would you even go through it? Because you care for her, you love her, you're going to commit murder? I don't get that.
This is going to make me sound like a Puritan, which those of people that are listening to our show know that I most certainly am not. However, here we go.
Here we go.
Anybody that's going to cheat like that on their person and be with that person and when they're with that person, acts like a princess, because that's how you started this out, right? Mm-hmm. This woman got everything she wanted from this man, and she had a great life with this man. So obviously she was super greedy and she was a gold digger or whatever you want to call them. Like, she was completely a transactional person and actually had no love for this man, which is unfortunate, which is like the first 10 dings of her character, right? The first 10 dings of her character assassination is that she was a piece of shit to begin with. Pretty on the outside or not, she was horrifically ugly on the inside, obvi. But beyond that, then she's going to go and cheat. Then she's going to go and manipulate some poor schmo into getting rid of her husband. Why? Not so she could be with that poor schmo. I bet you. I would bet everything I have on it. She just wanted to get rid of her husband so she can have all the money. But little does this dumb biatch know, when the man left, all that money was going to go away with him also. What was she going to get? The price of the house that they had just bought, and it's still mortgaged to the hilt? So she's so money hungry and dumb that she doesn't even realize if she gets rid of her money train, there will be no more money train.
Yeah.
And what? She's going to end up with this guy that had a roommate? Come on now. This woman was dumb from the get-go and ugly inside and out, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and I mean, if he knows, I mean, clearly from the jewelry she's wearing and her clothes and her vehicle, I mean, this dude didn't even have a freaking car. He's riding the bus.
Yeah, so he was just a patsy. And this girl was just super dumb. Super dumb. Because she got some schlub to do her bidding for something that, even if they weren't as dumb and it worked out for her, it wouldn't have worked out for her in the end.
Right.
But she didn't do anything. She didn't work.
No, she had a job. She did have a job. I don't know what she was doing, but she remember, she did go to college. She had a job, but she was working in some office. So I can only assume that she's doing some kind of secretarial work. But she did have a job, but it was clearly Ammar who was bringing in the bucks.
Yeah, and a lot of bucks. They had a house in that neighborhood. They had 2 pickup trucks that were nice vehicles.
Brand new.
Yeah, come on. This girl was dumb and ugly, and I'm sorry, but anybody that's gonna cheat on their husband while they're acting like a princess with their husband, but then they're so ridiculously two-faced that they're shacking up with some schlub. No, she was a filthy, evil monger, in my opinion.
Agreed.
There's no way around that for me. She was just super dirty.
Yeah.
You know, very dirty heart. I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no empathy for people like that.
Agreed.
I have a lot of empathy. I'm totally empathetic. Most of the time, bleeding heart. Hello, I'm a nurse. That's just who I am. But with people like this chick, nope, no empathy. You should actually be hanging by your toenails somewhere.
Agreed.
Forget about life in prison.
Oh, I hope she's having a really difficult time. I'm sure she is. But, you know, it's interesting because there's a documentary that I watched about this show. I watched and read a bunch of stuff, but Zara, the sister of Ammar, she said the moment she met Bador, she knew something wasn't right with her. Like, she just said she just felt something was really bad about this girl, and she was right. And then the other thing I found interesting is, and I've been thinking about this a lot, is everything really seemed okay. I don't think she was sleeping around until after she lost that baby, the third baby. So I just keep thinking to myself, like, was this her way of punishing him? Like, it's his fault she lost the baby, and that's when she kind of spun out of control. I mean, she already had the tendencies, but that kind of seemed to be when things kicked off.
Well, look at you trying to stir up some empathy for mental illness. I don't know. There was a lot of cold, callous calculation that I'm feeling like that just might be like the white lady crying, meaningless.
Yeah. Well, it's like, hey, I didn't get what I want, and that baby was what I wanted. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's her nasty bullshit side of her where she's like, I lost something that I wanted because of you. It's your fault. Fuck you. You've got to die now. I'm out.
I don't know.
Stomping her foot.
A little crutch. Nope. You did not stir any empathy with me,
nope.
Even on the illness bracket.
She gets nothing.
She gets nothing. That was just too stupidly calculated.
Agreed.
I just can't.
Yep.
Empathy for this chick. Sorry.
She cuckoo bird. the other thing about the whole planning, the murder and this and that and the other thing is like, okay, you have two little girls. You're going to murder their father. And sooner or later, you're going to get busted. Now, luckily, thankfully, these two were busted big time. They were, 2 weeks, 10 days, 2 weeks, boom, done. Now these little girls don't have their mother either. I'll never understand why people do this and to do it with children involved. That takes the cake right there. Why would you do this to your children?
Yeah, that's actually another point that I really haven't even really given any thought until you just said that just now. They did. They had these kids, and now she left them orphaned.
Yeah. Now, I don't know what happened with the kids. I would assume that, maybe they went to live with Zara, Ammar's sister.
And lived with the sister that she hated.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and ironically enough, anything that he did have left over went to the sister that she hated. So, see, be careful what you sell, because
that's right.
You just gave everything you were trying to get for yourself. You just gave it to the person that you hated the most.
That's right. Besides your dead husband.
That's karma.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, thank you, everyone. As always, we appreciate you listening. And don't forget, we have a live show coming up September 13th in Leslie, Michigan at Awaken Haunted Attraction. I'll leave the link in the show notes. If you guys are interested, you can come buy a ticket.
I'm coming to the mitten. Let me meet some of you guys. Come on, come down. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be a really good show. We're going to do all 3 shows. I can't wait. So excited. So excited. And we're going to have some great merch there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just to meet everybody and talk to people and see what they think, get some questions and stuff. It's going to be really fun. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be our first live event.
Yeah, first of many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the Q&A. It's going to be fun. So come get those tickets, everybody. Seats are limited. So thank you, everyone. And we will see you all back on Wednesday for Round Robin. Have a great week, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.